I saved the alien girl. 3 days later, her mother and tribe came to me. Beginning. The storm had raged for 2 nights straight over the crimson plains of Mars Colony 9. The settlement's domes rattled under the pressure of violent winds that could tear the skin off a rover. Inside the biodome, I, Dr. Aaron Holt, xenobiologist and field researcher, was staring at my instruments, trying to locate the source of a strange signal I'd intercepted 3 days ago. It wasn't human. The transmission was rhythmic, organic, like a heartbeat wrapped in static. My colleagues laughed it off as equipment interference from the solar flares, but my gut said otherwise. I'd been on Mars for 6 years, studying microbial life beneath the polar ice caps. But this felt different. When the storm finally died, I decided to follow the signal myself. I took rover 2B, packed 3 days of oxygen, and drove out beyond the perimeter, into the Forbidden Zone near the Tharsis Rift, an area off limits due to seismic instability. By the second day, I found the source, or rather, I fell into it. The ground beneath my rover gave way, and I plunged through a thin crust of ice into a hollow cavern. My suit cracked but held. I hit the ground hard, disoriented but alive. When I looked up, I realized I was standing in what looked like a buried city. Crystalline towers frozen in time, glowing faintly blue beneath layers of frost. And in the center of it all was a pod. It wasn't human technology. Smooth, seamless, shaped like a teardrop, half buried in the ice. Inside, suspended in translucent fluid, was a girl. Her skin shimmered like pearl. Her hair floated like strands of silver thread. Her eyes, though closed, had faint, flickering light beneath the lids. She wasn't dead. The pod emitted a faint hum, that same rhythmic pulse I'd been tracking. I realized it was her heartbeat. I spent hours carefully cutting through the ice with my thermal saw until the pod loosened. But the moment I touched its surface, it cracked. Light spilled out, and the liquid inside began to drain. I panicked, thinking I'd killed her. But then she gasped. Her chest rose. Her eyes snapped open, glowing bright blue. I stumbled back, heart hammering. She stared at me, frightened, confused, then tried to speak, but no sound came out. I tried to calm her, speaking softly through my suit comms. "It's okay. You're safe. I won't hurt you." She blinked, studying me like an animal, unsure if it's seeing friend or foe. Then, without warning, she collapsed. Her skin temperature dropped so rapidly that my sensors beeped alarms. She was freezing to death. Instinct took over. I wrapped her in my emergency thermal blanket, sealed her inside my rover, and sped back to base as fast as the terrain allowed. For hours I drove through blinding dust storms, terrified she'd die before I got her under the biodome's heaters. By the time I reached the colony, she was barely breathing. I brought her into my lab, breaking every protocol and book, and placed her inside the medical containment pod. I monitored her vitals. Her blood, if it was blood, carried luminescent particles, microscopic filaments that seemed alive. For 2 days, she remained unconscious. On the third day, she opened her eyes again and whispered her first words in a voice that sounded like wind across glass. "Where am I?" "Middle." Her name, as best as I could understand from her gestures and sounds, was Liara. Her language was melodic, filled with tones, not words. My translation AI struggled, but after some calibration, we managed basic communication. She told me, through fragmented sentences and flashes of images she projected directly into my mind, that she was part of a tribe called Irindra, beings who had lived beneath the Martian surface long before humanity arrived. They were the children of ice, protectors of something sacred beneath the crust. She had been trapped after a collapse, entombed for what she believed was 1,000 years. I couldn't believe it, but every reading confirmed she wasn't lying. Her DNA was unlike anything on record, a perfect fusion of organic and crystalline matter. When she walked, frost bloomed beneath her bare feet. When she touched metal, it hummed. Over the next 2 days, Liara learned rapidly. Words, gestures, emotions. She laughed at the sound of rain simulations in the dome. She cried when I showed her videos of Earth's oceans. And I started to care for her. Not in the way of a scientist studying a subject, but in the way one feels all before something infinitely fragile yet powerful. Still, I knew I'd broken every rule by bringing her here. The Martian Colonial Authority would confiscate her if they found out, study her, dissect her, maybe even weaponize her. So I kept her a secret. Until the third night after her awakening. I was running diagnostics on her pod when every system in the colony flickered. Lights, power, communication. The air vibrated, as if something massive was moving beneath the ground. Then, my sensors detected multiple energy signatures approaching from the same coordinates where I'd found Liara. She stood suddenly, her eyes wide. "They come," she whispered. "Who?" I asked. "My mother, my tribe." Before I could respond, alarms blared across the dome. The colony scanner showed 12 moving forms breaching perimeter, glowing humanoid, but made of living crystal. They passed through the airlock without opening it, matter phasing like light through glass. The colonists panicked. Security drones deployed, weapons raised. I ran toward the entrance, shouting for them to stand down. And then I saw her, a towering figure, twice my height, wearing armor translucent ice that shimmered with veins of energy. Her eyes glowed pure white, her face regal and ancient. Liara ran toward her, tears streaming down her cheeks. The alien woman caught her in her arms, a mother's embrace that radiated warmth through the cold air. I realized then this was the matriarch of the Arindra, Liara's mother. She turned her gaze on me. The temperature dropped instantly. Frost climbed the walls. "You touched my daughter," she said, her voice resonating inside my skull like a bell underwater. "I saved her," I replied, trembling but firm. She was dying. I couldn't just... "Human hands bring death, not life," she interrupted. "You dig, you take, you burn the skin of this world." Her tribe fanned out, circling us. Their bodies emitted waves of cold that froze the air into mist. Liara stepped between us, speaking rapidly in her language. The matriarch's expression softened, slightly, but her gaze on me remained sharp as ice shards. "What do you want?" I asked. "To see what you have done," she said. "To know if my child has been corrupted by you." She raised a hand, touching Liara's forehead. A stream of light passed between them, memory, emotion, thought. After a long silence, the matriarch turned back to me. "She says you saved her life." "I did," I said quietly, "at risk of my own." The matriarch studied me. "Why?" "Because she deserved to live. Anyone would have done the same." "Not anyone," she said. "Your kind kills what it does not understand." She extended her hand toward me. The frost beneath my boots cracked. For a moment, I thought she would strike me down. But instead, she placed her palm against my chest. "You have warmth," she said softly. "A rare thing among your people." Then, to my astonishment, the ice on the walls began to melt. Her tribe lowering their weapons, their light dimming. Liara smiled. "She believes you." Still, the matriarch wasn't done. "You have touched what should not be touched. You have awakened the sleeper." "The sleeper?" I asked. She gestured the direction of the Tharsis rift, the deep one beneath the world. "Your machines drill too close. You stir the god that once burned this planet." Her words sent a chill through me deeper than the cold. Mars was dead because of some ancient catastrophe. At least, that's what we believed. But what if it wasn't natural? What could we do? I asked. "Leave," she said. "Abandon this red grave before the sleeper wakes." Liara's eyes filled with sadness. "You helped me, Aaron. I will help you." She raised her hand, showing me a shard crystal that pulsed with inner light. "This will protect your people when the ground breaks. Keep it close." The matriarch looked at her daughter, then at me. "The bond between you is dangerous, but perhaps necessary." With that, the Arindra began to fade, dissolving into frost and light. The matriarch was the last to vanish, leaving only her voice echoing faintly. 3 sunrises, then the sleeper stirs. Ending. For the next 2 days, I tried to warn command, but they dismissed me. "Dr. Holt, alien myths don't dictate our operations," the director sneered. "We're here to mine, not chase ghost stories." But the crystal Liara gave me began to hum louder with each passing hour. The air grew colder even inside the heated domes. On the 3rd sunrise, the ground shook. It began as a tremor, then a roar that split the horizon. The Tharsis rift, where our mining drills were deepest, erupted in a column of red light that reached the clouds. Buildings cracked, alarms screamed. Colonists ran as the ground buckled and a vast structure began to rise beneath the crust. Not rock, but metal fused with living crystal, a shape like a colossal heart. The sleeper. It pulsed once, sending out a shockwave that fried every system in the colony. Drones fell from the sky. My comms went dead. The atmosphere shimmered with raw energy. I clutched the crystal Liara had given me, and suddenly a shield of blue light surrounded me. All around, the colonists who stood close enough to me survived. Those farther away were vaporized in the heat. The alien device had saved us. Then I saw Liara and her mother, standing atop the ridge, their forms glowing brighter than before. Together, they sang, a sound that made the air tremble and the sleeper pause. The matriarch extended her arms, and the sleeper's light dimmed. Its heart slowed, then sank slowly back beneath the surface, leaving only silence and ash. When it was over, the matriarch looked at me one last time. "Your world and mine share the same sin. Curiosity without wisdom. Do not return to this wound." Then she and her tribe vanished again, leaving only Liara behind. She turned to me, eyes full of sadness. "My place is with them, but my heart is with you." I reached out, but before I could touch her, she dissolved into light, leaving the glowing crystal in my palm. Now, weeks later, I sit in the ruins of Colony 9, writing this report for anyone who finds it. The other survivors have been evacuated, but I chose to stay. Because sometimes when the wind howls across the red plains, I hear her voice whispering in the static, "Thank you for saving me." And when I look out toward the Tharsis rift, I see faint blue light under the ice, the heartbeat of a people forgotten by time. The Arindra still watch us. And I wonder if one day, when humanity returns, they'll remember the warning her mother gave me. 3 sunrises before the world wakes again.